Alright, so just so you know, there's gonna be some more videos later on throughout this beta where I cover more specific things. Maps, spawns, kill streaks, weapons, perks, whatever. I am not gonna be able to cover everything in a single video, so I'm just gonna give you my first impressions on the beta versus the alpha. And we're gonna start out with the things that make the game feel better now than it did during the alpha. First of all, I immediately noticed a graphics improvement during my first match of the beta. It's sharper, it's cleaner. Now, it still has this sort of muddy, jagged look to it. Even on 6v6 maps, I haven't played 12v12 yet during this beta, but it definitely has that muddy, jagged look still, but it's reduced, and the level of detail at a distance is better. So that's a really big impact on my enjoyment of a game. I know resolution is such an underrated thing when it comes to FPS games, because it's all about frame rate, right? No, I would much rather play a 60 FPS 4K game than a 720p, like 120 FPS game. Seriously, like I would much prefer resolution to be balanced with frame rate because I want that sharp above 1080p look that I've become accustomed to with a smooth frame rate, and the alpha didn't deliver it, and this really isn't either, but it's doing better. And for these last gen consoles, we have to kind of accept that this is on a last gen console here. It's doing a pretty damn good job, even with the FOV cranked up to 120, and that's the next thing that makes the game feel so much better. The increased FOV gives you more perceived speed when moving. It gives you a wider range of things to see, like you feel less cramped. You can see more of the field and more of the game. Like, do I have to explain it? It's your field of goddamn view. And when you have it narrowed down to 80 degrees, it's bad. I'm sorry, I can't deal with 80 FOV anymore. I can put up with it, but it feels archaic. Going to 120, going to 100, even just 95 is so much goddamn better. It is a direct improvement to your gameplay to be able to see more things in front of you. Because it's not just in front of you, it's a little bit more left and right. You can see more of the battlefield, it's good. And console games have had it for a while now, but Call of Duty's really slow on the uptake here. I'm disappointed as hell in any console developer that's not providing FOV sliders to their games. If you design an FPS game for a modern console, whether it be Xbox One X, PS4 Pro, Series X, or PS5, and you're not putting in an FOV slider, you have done something drastically wrong. So the increased graphical quality plus the FOV slider is great, but what about animation quality and reload animations in general? You know, just what does it feel like to do things in the beta compared to the alpha? While not a lot is going to jump at you directly, it is definitely smoother, it's cleaner. The animations have a little less clunk to them. You can tell that they refined it, and that's what it feels like. It feels like a nice subtle refinement across the board. They didn't bring it to Modern Warfare levels of graphical fidelity and animation quality and detail, but it's better, it's smoother. There's little things about it that I really appreciate, like the FOV doesn't change when you sprint, so that feels more consistent and immersive. It felt a little bit weird during the alpha. Sprinting and recoil animations look a little bit better. Again, it's hard for me to pinpoint it and really share it in a way that's meaningful. It just looks a bit better, and you kind of have to take my word for it unless you have reference footage. And while I do have footage of the alpha, going through it, I can't see like massive notable differences. It's just a little bit smoother. It's a little bit less jumpy because it felt like in the alpha, certain animations would start and then there'd be some dead frames where like things wouldn't happen, and then it would then finish the animation. And you could tell that by going into editing software and going frame by frame on like C4 throwing, for instance. The C4, your character pulls it out, pulls it back a little bit towards themselves, and then there's all these dead frames, and then your arm is just immediately jutted out and the C4 has been thrown. You know, they sort of smoothed out that kind of feel of the game. It feels more AAA. With the increased resolution, the FOV slider, and this, it's definitely more AAA. Now, in talking about audio, I really like the audio changes so far. I can hear enemies if they're being careless with their footsteps around me, which I like. So if you're sprinting up to me as I'm camping somewhere, I can hear you, but crouch walking is pretty much entirely silent and pretty fast too. Like you can move pretty fast on your knees there. Also, bass is more noticeable for me. I can actually feel a bit of rumble in the airstrikes and the artillery. It seems a bit thumpier. Not just like loud, but like bassy, like vibrating almost. It's like a vibrating frequency when like bassy things happen. I really like that. Also, there's little details that I did not notice in the alpha. I'm not saying they weren't there, but they didn't stand out at all. For instance, when you go to call in like a UAV, your character takes like a phone, like a walkie-talkie, takes a radio, and he grabs it and he pulls it up to his ear, his left ear, and hits the button. When you do that, you can hear it beep in your left bottom ear cup. And I'm just using stereo. It's Astros, they're nice headphones, but they're just stereo. I'm not using like some crazy surround sound setup. You can hear it beep in your lower left ear cup. Let me know if you guys noticed that as well. I did not notice that during the alpha, and I'm usually like really excited when I hear good 3D audio. So if it was there, it was hiding. So overall, audio does sound better. Guns sound a little bit better, but I have high boost on because I don't want too much bass and too much racket. I kind of like the small crisp sounds to be brought up to the forefront instead of just a bunch of bass and thud. So while I like the extra bass, I like that high boost is here. High boost sounds really good. So being able to sound horror is good. The only sound problem I have so far is that enemy footsteps and teammate footsteps sound the same. I don't want to hear my teammates' footsteps. It constantly distracts me when I hear my teammates' footsteps as loud as an enemy's. But speaking of teamwork related things, the pinging system is cool but kind of useless. You can ping weapons on the ground, you can ping main callout areas, and you can ping enemies, but it's inconvenient to hit the D-pad on a controller to do that. In my opinion also, it's just sort of inconvenient in general because it doesn't ping exactly where you're looking, it pings the nearest point of interest, which is kinda dog shit. I guess it's good because not every head glitch area will have a ping over it basically saying, look here, but it's also sort of like, I want a ping system because of that. So, I don't know, it's gonna be helpful in some cases. I'm sure we'll get used to it and they can refine it a bit more, but I'm gonna say for respawn game modes, it's gonna be pretty much entirely useless. But I hope I'm wrong about that. One of the things that really helps me with this beta compared to the alpha is there's a progression system that I want to progress through so I can unlock attachments and then review these guns just so we can get a taste of what we're gonna get during the full game. I really want to dive into Gunsmith and customize stuff, so I'm gonna level up a lot. Having a progression system made a surprising difference in my attitude towards the game today because I really want to level these things up. It doesn't feel like I'm playing one big private match, it feels like I'm playing something a little bit more in line with what I'm gonna get at launch. And so, yeah, progression system does help my interest level, so I'm excited to progress through it. I also want to briefly talk about the new map, Cartel. This is a fantastic map. I learned it in my first match. I'm sure there's little areas and stuff I don't know, but the flow of it just works. It's a very simple, yet variety-filled map. There are fun ways you can play this. There's a height advantage in the middle, long flank route on one side, a more cramped interior on the other, a little bit of symmetry, a little bit of asymmetry. I really like it. It's that perfect mix of fast-paced but messy. Messiness allows for variety, but doing that in a nice framework allows the game to not feel random. So I think people are really gonna like Cartel, and on top of that, maps that have sunny blue days and nice green, greenery around, there's something about that I think most people universally appreciate versus like grayed out, dry maps that look like, oh, it's so war-torn and edgy and dark and I don't know. I feel like people are really gonna like how nice this map looks. It looks like it was taken out of a Far Cry game, but I really like it. So what do I hate? What is Boom gonna bitch about this time, am I right? Okay, listen, the hit detection is garbage. Somebody asked me when I was streaming, is this like Black Ops 1? And yes, it's like Black Ops 1 because it feels like a 10-year-old peer-to-peer game when it comes to shooting somebody. Like, this is such a massive downgrade over Modern Warfare. Everybody's getting hung up on graphics, everyone's getting hung up on details. The fact is, Infinity Ward nails hit detection. Infinity Ward nails that feeling of going in and out of gunfights smoothly. They nail it every time. Modern Warfare took that a step further with its awesome detail and fidelity and the ability to have precision aim assist with no rotation and linear response curve without any of the weird slowdown on your analog stick at the high ends or whatever. No. Linear progression and precision aiming and their hit detection and the way the guns felt, the animations, everything was so smooth. That is where the downgrade is here. Bullets connecting to my target, getting in and out of gunfights does not feel clean and snappy, and time to kill and time to die are in two different continents. It was so good that I was feeling that. I look over and somebody in my chat was saying it looks like I die in a frame, but it takes like half my mag to kill somebody. And while my aim with a DualShock controller isn't perfect, it seriously just feels like I get hit marker, hit marker, hit marker, hit marker, hit marker, and then when I get hit, it's framed, dying around corners. And a big problem is that this headshot multiplier they've mixed in, they need to tell you if you got hit with a headshot, even if that's not the finishing blow. Because the headshot multiplier being high means that you don't know if somebody got a kill on you that quickly because of their weapon's recoil, especially at range. Recoil really affects that aspect of Call of Duty when you are fighting at increased ranges, because then putting a sight on a person on their torso, it'll carry up to their head much faster. Now, it's a smaller target, so any amount of recoil could sort of net you a free headshot. That's a problem. In a perfect world, headshots would mean more skill-based gameplay, but Call of Duty has different recoil patterns on each gun, and recoil can net you easy kills here. And yeah, no flinch means that flinch isn't going to activate the headshot, which is good, but there's so many other factors. Random hipfire spread's a big one. And yeah, if you're playing Halo, yeah, headshots should be really good in a game like Halo. Call of Duty, Battlefield, I don't know, because there's a bit of randomness to it. And I don't like that. There's a messiness to it. Like if somebody's aiming at torso level or stomach level, and then somebody slides in front of them, that puts their head at stomach or torso level, depending on the elevation of the map, and then you just start shooting their head, and it kills them so fast they can't react. Perfect world, it would always be skill-based, but it can't be guaranteed that it's always going to be skill-based, so a lot of times somebody's going to get a lucky headshot in a spray and drastically decrease their time to kill while increasing how fast you're just getting melted. This creates a pretty massive fucking inconsistency, and I'm not having it. I'm really not. I think one of the reasons people love the AK in Cold War is because it gives you just that recoil that brings you up to the head. And that's what you want, right? I'll have to refine my opinion on this over a course of time, but I'm not just gonna be like, oh cool, he shot me in the head, I guess he's better than me every time. It's gonna be like, did he get a lucky headshot? Was it a random spray? Did he hip fire into aiming down sight? There's so many factors at play in Call of Duty. I think headshot multipliers should be high at a range, but within 30 meters, I really don't want to just get framed because somebody rounded the corner and their recoil brought them up to my chin. That's just very frustrating. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching my messy first impressions video of the Black Ops Cold War beta. It was fun to talk about, and it's pretty fun to fucking play. I'm just sort of irritated with the whole, like, shooting people aspect. It just doesn't work at the moment for me. But stay tuned for videos about more singular topics like sniper rifles, maps, spawns, concerns, things that I love. We're gonna be reviewing a lot of different aspects of Cold War by the end of this first beta and by the end of the second. So prepare for a lot of Cold War content. See you when I see you. Goodbye.